Hello, welcome to My Life in Pixels. I'm so sorry it's been a bit of time since my last episode, but I'm back. The podcast is back and I am trying to line up interviewees so we can be a bit more regular and go back to that 2-week release schedule again. If you watch esports, if you follow any of my work, you might have noticed that I've been kind of busy. I've done 5 continents in less than 2 months. So I went to South America, I went to North America, I went to Oceania, and I've been working in Europe and Asia as well. It's been crazy. I was coming back from Madrid when I got a message from the lovely, wonderful Becky Frost, who is a friend of mine, who I met when I was working at Twitch, and Becky works for the charity Special Effect. Special Effect is an incredible charity. If you haven't heard of it, its motto is to level the playing field for gamers everywhere. So they have a team of occupational therapists and they will go and visit gamers of all ages and bring them adaptive technology that will help them get back into playing or help them play for the first time. And Becky talks a lot about this in the podcast itself. They have some fundraising events throughout the year, and that is why I met them, was because I was working for Twitch and I helped them do a fundraising stream for one of their flagship events, which is called One Special Day. I can't imagine not being able to play video games. I can't imagine what that's like for someone else watching people play video games. I guess the closest I got to it was maybe when my sister had her N64 and I wasn't allowed to play. I just had to watch. So I felt like I was doing the strategy when she was playing Banjo-Kazooie and she was doing the physical playing. And that was fun and things. But I also knew that I had the option of picking up the controller when she wasn't in the room. And there are people out there who don't have that opportunity, and Special Effect will go to them and they will help them be the person in control. And that's the key thing. It's control. They give people control. It's so important. Again, this is all discussed by myself and Becky in the podcast. And also we get to talk about her as well. And we start off the podcast by talking about the first game that she ever played.
Oh man, like way back, my first video game console was probably the Sega Mega Drive. I had it, well, I actually didn't own this, but one of my best friends back when I was little got a Sega Mega Drive, and I remember going around his house and playing Sonic all the time. And then they got a Game Boy, like, between the family. So him and his brothers shared this one original Game Boy, and I remember playing Tetris around their house. But I think my first ever console was probably the GameCube.
Oh really? Okay,
yeah,
that's kind of a leap, going like that's quite a few years without your own console.
Yeah, well, I realized that I could just sort of scab it off other people. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started working, my first like ever job was at Game Station, RIP. Yeah, I think the GameCube must have come out while I was there, because it was 2001? Oh God, my knowledge.
That's a good question. No, I want to know now. Let me have a look, because obviously it was
quick
N64.
Google.
N64 is like 96, I think. So let me have a look. I'm gonna have a look. Okay, so GameCube, it came out in North America in 2001, Europe and Australia in 2002.
Okay,
So
well, I mean, that's obviously
right.
what I meant. But...
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely right. Now I'm going down the whole of when was the N64 released. It was released in Japan in 1996, in the EU in March 97. So I'm the same. I got confused with the American year and the UK/European year.
It was a wild guess based on whenever Animal Crossing came out, because that's basically been my gaming life.
Yeah, I know you're a massive Animal Crossing fan. Have you got a Switch in anticipation?
I am. So my husband and I have a Switch in the house, but I am planning on buying a second Switch just for Animal Crossing, because I am that obsessed. So I've been saving up for, like, since it was announced, basically, to buy a second Switch for the house, which is really sad, but you gotta do the things you love, right?
That's not sad. So is the plan for you and your husband to both have Animal Crossing and you can visit each other on your respective Switches?
I don't think he's that into it. But, I mean, maybe he'll get it as well.
Did you not have this conversation, Becky, before you got married? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I know,
this is very important.
It should have been one of those conversations. Basically, if he didn't like dogs or Studio Ghibli, it was a no-go for me. But I didn't think to have the Animal Crossing conversation. You're right.
Yeah, it's
Oh
slightly
man.
awkward. You're now parents to a dog, and now you're
Yes.
discovering
Yeah.
it's about each other.
Yeah.
What is it about Animal Crossing that you love so much?
Do you know what? I think it's just the escapism. Basically, I play Animal Crossing on my mobile now, and I find myself doing it a lot when I'm at an event and I've got 10 minutes to just chill. And I know people like. Uh, I'm probably one of the like least hardcore gamer people that you're ever going to have on this. It's, a lot of people are into like shooters and all that and really story driven games, but I just really like the sort of daily admin tasks of it. Um,
I'm the same way
yeah.
though. I'm currently playing Counter-Strike and PUBG and things on my PC, and
Hmm.
I'll stream
Hmm.
those. I'll play with friends. I much prefer those games when I'm playing with people I know as opposed to playing on my own, because the repetition with those is not relaxing. Because with PUBG, it's like, yeah, land, loot, survive, get shot in the back by someone you can't see, and that's a lot more funny and entertaining when you're doing it with people and it happens to them too, or it happens to one of you and you will laugh at each other. So
Mm.
that's really fun. Whereas with my PlayStation, I hardly ever stream PlayStation anymore, and it's partly because the audience isn't really that interested in it, and also it's because it's something for me. So I am loving Spider-Man at the moment, and the main reason is
Oh
because I spent
yes.
quite a few hours on it. I'm only about 70% through the story. I am treating it like a to-do list. So there are loads of different tasks you have to do around the city, like basically matching signals, and there's something which is a little bit like a game I used to play on like my dad's laptop when I was really young that I loved, called Pipe Dream, where you
Mm.
literally it's this whole pretense that you're making circuits for Dr. Ock's suit in his lab where you work as Peter Parker. It's really easy, to be honest, but it's really mind numbing and I love it. I like that aspect of it. I like going around and collecting backpacks. It was the first thing I completed in the whole game, was collecting all the backpacks, because
Yeah.
I just like
And
being able to do that and just get it out of the way and be
do you do
proud.
that thing where you're like, I need to 100% this game and then it's finished?
Not
Like,
normally. Not normally. Like with Final Fantasy, I was like, I'm not gonna go and get the final summon. Oh my god, I can't move. You know what? I can never actually pronounce the name of the summonses, as I'm now calling them. Do you know what I mean? Hang on a second. I'm gonna actually look this up right now.
yeah, you're gonna have
This
to
is
Google that.
terrible. Aeons. Okay, so like they're called different things in different games. So
Yeah.
actually, summons is fine. They're called Aeons in Final Fantasy X, and they're called something else in Final Fantasy 13, which is, I think, why I'm getting so confused. But yeah, there are extra ones in Final Fantasy X that you can collect after you finish the game, or at least there's an extra one, I think. And it's just a really hard battle. And I tried it once, and I thought, nah, I'm done now. I've had my
Yeah.
emotional like cry at the end of this game, and I'm not going to say why because I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't played that game, because it's being remastered at the moment and it's coming out very soon, and it's an amazing game and you should all play it. But yeah, I've never been that much of a completionist, I would
Yeah, and
say.
I think I oh, I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah.
We're both on coffee right now. Yeah.
We're both, you talk about spoilers, we're both like avidly trying to avoid spoilers today, aren't we?
Oh
So
my goodness. What do
I'm
you
like,
make of the whole Game of Thrones spoiler thing? Because some people are like, well, it's a TV show, and so you've got to get over it, blah blah blah. And whereas with obviously Avengers Endgame, people did keep this secret. And for me, I feel like not all of us get Game of Thrones at the same time. The Americans might have got it last night, but it was 3 a.m. this morning for the rest of us. And
mm,
also, I want to watch it with my boyfriend and friends. I don't. We do this thing when I'm actually in the country, which isn't that often at the moment. We will gather and we'll have dinner and we'll watch the latest episode on Sky Go, and
yeah.
so we save it. But now we can't do it tonight, so I am gonna have to watch it with my boyfriend because we can't wait till next week because it will get ruined for us. So we're gonna wait until
Yeah.
next week to have dinner, but we're definitely going to watch the episode tonight, I think. So
Do you
what
know
do you
what?
make
I
of that?
think, and I never remember it being this way, but I think it's like almost a kind of trolling, isn't it? Like trying to ruin it for people.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I I have a couple of shows that I'm really bothered about spoilers with, which is Game of Thrones and Steven Universe.
Steven Universe?
I love Steven Universe.
Is this Netflix? What is Steven Universe?
What is Steven Universe?
Yeah.
Oh, Frankie, sit down. So it's a Cartoon Network show that is about, God, what's it about? It's about alien gemstone people and a boy who is half alien gemstone person, but it's just really cute and fun. But it's like it got really twisty. So like the sort of reveals and the spoilers that came out with it got really interesting. And yeah, they bring out episodes really sporadically, so it's quite hard to keep up with them. So I have a couple of friends who are really into it as well, and we like if we can't get together and watch it together, which a couple of these friends we only see each other at events. So we actually have sort of online watch parties when the episodes comes out.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So we'll be like typing on, Twitter Messenger or something and watching the show.
So in other words,
it's
check it out. I should check out Steven Universe. It looks like it's on Netflix.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the first like 2 seasons are on Netflix, and it starts off like super cutesy and really easy watch, but then it gets really heavy. You're like, oh. But then by then you're invested in the characters.
Yeah. Oh, 160 episodes. Okay, I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
But I've got a lot of traveling to do, so that's gonna be achievable. I think I can do that. I can put
and they're nice short episodes as well. So there you go. Yeah.
So how did you discover special effect?
Blimey, about 5 or 6 years ago, I was running a Nintendo player group, is what they're called now, but back then they were called Nintendo Street Pass, and it's it's kind of a community focused, community led fan group initiative that Nintendo sort of help with but don't run. And I was looking for one in my area, realized there wasn't one, and thought, oh, I'm just going to set one up. Because I see a lot of people going, oh, this thing's not in my area, and then complaining about it and not doing anything about it. So I thought, I'm going to do something about it. So myself and my husband, Pat, set up Street Pass Banbury, as it was called back then, which is my hometown. And yeah, we were running a little Nintendo 3DS fan group, basically. And I thought, I want to do a charity event. And I remember just sitting at my computer and going, I wonder if there are any video game charities, because I had no idea that Special Effect existed back then. And Googled video game charity, and Special Effect came up. And they were pretty close to where Banbury is. So the office is based in Charlbury. So I emailed and said, look, I want to do a fundraising event. Do you have any sort of advice or leaflets that I can give out or anything like that? And I think it was Baz from the office here and Mark got in touch and said, yeah, sure, let's come and meet you. And they drove out to Banbury and met me in the venue that we were going to do the fundraiser in. And yeah, they gave me a load of sort of leaflets and wristbands and advice and help. And that event, I think, raised over 1,500, which I was really pleased with for like my first fundraiser. I was really happy with that. And yeah, I got involved from there, started volunteering, and then a job came up 2 years ago now, which I sort of leapt at the chance to apply for. And yeah, here I am.
That's amazing. And for listeners who don't know who Special Effect are and what they do, can you give a summary?
Yeah, sure. So Special Effect is a UK-based charity. We make and modify sort of video games, controllers, and software for people with physical disabilities so that they can play video games and enjoy the amazing community and escapism of video games and stories and worlds that otherwise they'd be kind of closed off from. So that can be anything from a very small modification to an existing controller, like the the regular Xbox controller may need a slightly different button setup for people, and we'll help with that, all the way up to completely eye-controlled systems where someone's maybe been in a road traffic accident and been paralyzed, or huge wide range of things. And the work we do is one-to-one based as well. So we'll actually go out and visit people in their homes with a team of occupational therapists who will set up a system completely based on them. So it's based on, what console they want to play, what games they want to play, because everyone's gaming taste is wildly different, as I think you and I illustrate pretty well. So if someone wants to play, CSGO, we'll help that. If someone wants to play Animal Crossing, we'll help with that as well. So yeah, it's a very varied job.
And recently as well, Xbox released their own official adaptive controller, which is such a big achievement.
Yeah.
Special Effects actually had a part in that.
Yes, so Microsoft were amazing throughout that process, and they actually got in touch with several different charities across the world. So I know they worked with Able Gamers in the US and Special Effect in the UK, and they were really keen on being the Xbox adaptive controller as right as possible, basically. So we helped them with the sort of design and development side of that, and some of our service users actually tested it for them before it came out, and it's fantastic. It's something that we use for a lot of our setups and demos, definitely. So I handle the sort of expo side of things, and we'll be at several different events throughout the UK doing demos and showing the public kind of what kind of things we might do for people. Obviously it's hard to show people exactly what we do for people because it's all individual. But we have demos, and a lot of those have been using the XAC, which is really cool. And it's a lovely bit of kit as well. Like, it's made things so much simpler and look a lot better as well. I think one of the main bits of feedback that I was surprised by were that people who use it are really happy that it just looks like a piece of kit that they'd have on the shelf otherwise, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it looks really cool. It kind of reminds me of the arcade pads that people use when they're doing fighting games.
Yes.
It's
yeah,
really,
we actually,
really cool.
Yeah, a lot of the demos that we have, I always want the demos to be quite simple. And some of the demos we have just use the XAC and an extra joystick. So yeah, it does look a lot like a sort of fighting arcade thing from back in the day.
And how many people a year does Special Effects help?
So in person, I believe, let me see, we actually sat down and counted for, I think, 2017, and we worked out that it was 300 people in person, and then about 2,000 over the phone. But with the release of the XAC, that number will have gone up a lot. So we actually have a team of occupational therapists who I think are about, how many occupational therapists do we have? I think about 10, 9 or 10, 11, like really quickly trying to count in my head. But they go out every single day in our vans up and down the country. So a lot. We have a pretty short waiting list for the amount of people that we are helping. I think at the moment it's about 2 to 3 months of a wait list. But we try and get to as many people as we can throughout the year. And if we can't get to people in person, they can actually come to us as well. So we do assessments here at the offices in Oxfordshire. But in most cases, it's more, what's the word? More convenient for people, for us to go to them, because travel's often an issue, which we totally understand.
And what kind of advice are you giving over the phone? Because I actually didn't know that there was a helpline that you guys have.
Yeah, well, so we actually do sort of follow-up visits and repeat visits, as well as the initial sort of assessment. So we don't just sort of, give someone a setup and go, that's it, bye. So a lot of times, new games will come out or new systems will come out and people will ring up and say, I've been playing this, but the new versions of it has come out and it's got a slightly different controller setup, and we'll help them to set that up over the phone. There are some instances where we've had people call up and they don't necessarily need a full assessment, but they need to know how to use Copilot, that kind of thing. And it's a case where we can just be of help immediately. So we'll do that kind of thing. We also have a YouTube channel with lots of different sort of how-tos and tutorials on there, because we want as many people playing as possible, basically. So, if we can make that information readily available, we will do. And YouTube videos have been really helpful in that regard.
You mentioned Copilot. I'm guessing that's some kind of adaptive software that helps people play. What kind of stuff is there out there?
So Copilot's actually a function on the Xbox, I believe. I'm getting into like technical territory now. But yeah, Copilot is a way. Oh God, this is going to be really bad, and I'm going to be like trying to explain something that I don't 100% know. Is a way that you can play one game on two pads, I believe. Oh God, let me double check.
Because I think I have seen that. I mean, almost like in my DDR head, Dance Revolution, it's almost like when you play across two dance mats instead of one.
Kind of, yeah. So it's linking two Xbox controllers, so you can use them like one controller. And in some cases, this is really helpful for like people who just need, like, maybe kids just need a little bit of extra help, or a kid can only use sort of one hand, so they will use one side of the controller and they play with their brother. I'm just going off like examples that I've seen happening. There are so many different applications for this kind of thing.
That makes sense. It's almost like so maybe if you had two sets of siblings, one of them's going to be controlling the movement, the joystick or something, and the other one's going to be controlling, I don't know, the punches and the kicks, or if you're playing the aerials, for example. So it's a really nice way for kids to like help each other out, for example, and take control together.
A really good example is the first like week that the Xbox Adaptive Controller came out. We had a really short video just showing like, hey, we've used this already in a setup, and it was a kid using, like, I think it was a driving game. I can't remember which one it was, but the kid was using the Xbox Adaptive Controller to do the left and right, I believe, or the accelerate. No, so the kid was using the Xbox Adaptive Controller to control the acceleration and braking of the car, and then their brother was doing the steering in the other thing. And we got a lot of people like commenting on Twitter saying, oh, the brother's just controlling this is fake. We didn't get a lot of people. It was like 2 or 3 people out of thousands who were like, oh my God, this is amazing. But it just goes to show, like, if you don't know, like, Copilot is a thing, and this is how it actually works, which is why I really like our case studies being up online, so we can go into a bit more detail about how we've done this setup and like why we've done this setup, because there are so many different reasons behind everything. And when you're working with people on such a one-to-one basis, the same game on the same console can have a completely different setup from person to person, depending on their ability and their movement and their cognitive control. It's so complicated, but it's so cool. But I don't know enough about it to be like going into it in depth, which is why I love talking to the tech guys here, because they'll really get into it, and I'm like, I understand half of the words you're saying, but it's so so interesting.
It's really cool. But also now I'm like, okay. So if I had a friend, or say I was playing with my sister when I was younger, could have switched on co-pilot so that both of us could like be involved in the game, even though it's a single player, for example. So I know we're talking about adaptive technology and helping everyone game, but now I'm thinking selfishly and going, that'd actually be really cool for a single player game where you both want to be involved.
Yeah, and I've actually seen games coming out that are kind of using that. Like, there was a game at EGX Res that I saw. I think it was called like Naughty Sheep or Disobedient Sheep, and you play with one pad, but you play a different sheepdog on each analog stick, and you're trying to like move your sheep into safe spaces, but also move the opponent's sheep into like danger spaces, and sort of anvils fall from the sky, that kind of thing. And
Nice.
I think Coatsink have a game coming out called Fogs, which is adorable.
Yes, the dogs, the double-ended dogs, right?
Yes, the double. So you play a sort of worm dog.
It's cuter than it
thing.
sounds.
And yeah, I think an early, like, I haven't played it in a while. I've seen it at a lot of events, but I haven't had the time to like sit down and actually play it. But I think that's one of those ones where you can play on the same controller but control different ends of the dog, basically.
That's adorable.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and like we here at the office will sit down with different demos, and obviously we take demos out to events, like we'll be at Comic-Con at the end of this month, and Insomnia and EGX, and we actually take sort of chin-controlled versions of Mario Kart or completely eye-controlled versions of Minecraft, and able-bodied people will sit down and play them to get an idea of what we do as a charity, and they'll actually come away from it going, actually, that was really fun. And yeah, that's the whole message that I want to sort of bring to events, is basically like, this is the fun that we're bringing to people.
Yeah. It's a charity about joy, which I really, really love about it. And I was wondering if you got a special case study that's close to your heart. I'm sure they all are, but anyone in particular that you'd be happy to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm very lucky to work where I do, and I feel that every day. Like, I feel immensely lucky to work here. Like, I get to, so we have a as I mentioned, we have an assessment room here. So we do get the occasional person coming in and actually having their assessment here. And very occasionally I'll hear this like scream of delight come from the other end of the office. And that's, that in some cases, that's a kid having control over something where they've never had full control over something before. And that gets me every time. Like, I don't know if there's one in particular that I can choose. What? I'm just thinking through like the videos that we have online. There's a case study of a chap called Lee who's talking about his son Corey, who Lee actually found out about us through just going into his local game store, and they'd just done a little fundraiser for us. And he kind of went in with Corey and said, look, is there any kind of controller that you can recommend for my son? And he has had a prenatal stroke, I believe, and didn't have a lot of control of his movement. And they said, well, there's this charity, and Lee finds out about us through that. And the whole video is Corey playing, I think it's FIFA that he's playing, and he scores a goal and then he laughs. And that whole, like, I can yabber on about special effect for hours. This is probably going to be the first 8-hour long episode for you. But that smile and that laugh says everything that it needs to about special effect and why we're here and why we do stuff.
I definitely recommend people check out that YouTube channel and see some of the videos because they are really heartwarming. The thing that struck me about special effects, I don't know why, it took me a little while to realise, because obviously I sent emails to a lot of the different staff at Special Effect when I was working with you guys through Twitch. And we did the videos, of course, for one special day with the Yogscast lot, which was really, really fun.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise how many Donegans were involved. It's like a family thing. It's Mick and the Donegans. It's the best band ever.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing Mick set this up for a reason.
Yes. So Dr. Mick is our founder and CEO. So that's Mick Donegan. He set the charity up back in 2007. 2007? Yeah. Yeah. So over 10 years ago, and he was working in education, and he realized that there was, kids were sort of provided for during school hours, and everything was inclusive then, but as soon as they went home, there was nothing to sort of include them. It was, go home, watch TV, do this sort of passive, have passive entertainment put to you, but there's nothing that you can sort of be involved in. And I think one of the main stories that he tells is knowing that one of the kids he was working with was going home and having to watch his older brother go out and play football. And this kid was watching his brother play football, like holding a goal mitt. Is that what they're called?
Yes.
Gloves? Goalie gloves?
Goalkeeping gloves.
I know what the footballs are. The hand thing. And there's this picture that he uses to sort of illustrate that this kid was on the sidelines and being forgotten about, basically. So yeah, that's he set the charity up in 2007 to kind of help deal with that. And obviously, like, technology, even since I started with the charity, has come on in such leaps and bounds that we're now working with, like, completely eye-controlled units and the Xbox adaptive controller and stuff like that. But before all that was happening, we'd be taking apart controllers here at the offices and soldering them back together in ways that would be helpful. And it's the technology's come a long way since then. But that's Dr. Mick, and he's incredibly clever. Like, if you ever pin him down as a guest on the show, he'd be much more insightful than me, and actually know a lot more of the tech. But he actually still works every day at the charity and goes out and does the technical visits into hospitals and sets people up with systems and stuff. So he's very much a part of the charity and working in it still today, which is lovely. And who else have we got on the Donegan side of things? We've got Bill, and Bill's one of Mick's sons. He's part of the tech team. So Bill will be, doing all the really technical stuff behind the demos and looking into games. So a lot of developers get in touch with us and say, look, we're making this game, how can we make it more accessible? And Bill will advise on that. His job's very beyond me. So Bill's like a tech wizard in that regard. And then Tom, who I work most closely with. Tom Donegan is our events manager, and he heads up things like the sports challenge events that we do. So he's just done the Wembley Fives tournament, which is a five-a-side football tournament of games industry people, and they go and play at Wembley, which is really cool. But that's a whole big fundraiser that everyone gets involved with.
Tell me about the other events you've got coming up then. So yeah, you've just had this Wembley Fives tournament, and then you've got a lot of running events. You have the event where last year, I can't remember what event it was. You had like 100 different representatives from gaming companies running in fancy dress on your behalf, I believe.
Yes, so that's actually coming up. That's the British 10K. So that's an amazing route through the centre of London. And we actually had the biggest charity team last year, which is insane for like we're a tiny charity in the grand scheme of things. Like we have one office, about 20 staff, and just an amazing amount of people who want to help, which is incredible. But yeah, for us to have the biggest charity team was insane. But we're still recruiting for that. So if you have any runners listening, they can go to specialeffects.org.uk/events and find out all about what we've got coming up. But there's loads of different runs throughout the year, like the Great North Run we do. I'm just like straining my eyes trying to see a poster of all the events that we've got.
Yeah, I've got them online. So you've got
cool.
That British 10K, that's on the 21st of July. So that's in London. The next run you've got coming up is actually very, very soon. Rough Run at Oxfordshire. So the obstacle course, it sounds a bit like Tough Mudder. And then on the 19th of May, there's a Great Manchester Run. And these are all on specialeffect.co.uk. Oh, sorry, .org.uk. Specialeffect.org.uk/events. And as well as sporting ones, you've of course got one special day coming up in October.
Yeah, so one special day is kind of our industry fundraiser. So a lot of companies within the gaming industry will get involved. They either some companies donate 100% of their UK revenue for the day. Some will put a piece of DLC in their game. Some do like an in-office bake sale, that kind of thing. But one special day is a day for the whole games industry to get involved and raise money for Special Effects. And I think that's 4th or 5th of October.
It is the 4th of October. You are right.
4th of October.
There you go. Man. You know what you're talking about.
Nick's gonna kill me. One special day is Nick's baby, and he's like, remember the date. But yeah, that's our industry fundraiser. And then if people are listening and they're thinking, well, I'm not in the games industry, but what can I do? We also have Game Blast, which is so much fun. So that's very much for like people who want to do streaming and that kind of thing. And that is the last weekend in February of 2020, and that's going to be a big one because Game Blast 2020 is going to be awesome.
Yes, I'm hoping I'm going to actually be around to try and get involved at some point as well. So, and even if I miss all these events, Becky, I'm going to do my best to try and fundraise myself because I need to do my bit because I'm so proud that you guys made me a Special Effects ambassador, and thank you so much. It's
yes, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh no, you've been amazing, and no pressure at all. Like it's very much if you can, that would be amazing. We're always like I say, we're a tiny charity and a tiny team, so we're immensely grateful for any support that we get throughout the year, and it's amazing what people do. Like every Game Blast, on the 3rd day of Game Blast, you'll always find me in a corner somewhere just like weeping uncontrollably because I'm so overwhelmed with how much love is coming our way from and from the gaming community. And it's really cheesy, but it's really heartwarming because it kind of makes us very much a charity by gamers for gamers because we don't receive any government funding. It's all private donations that keep us going, that keep us helping new people, and yeah, that is so incredible, and it gets me every year.
I think it gets me the idea that I wouldn't be able to play video games, so I can't imagine what it's like to be that kid on the sidelines with the goalie mitt on, not being able to join in, or watching my friends play FIFA or something similar and not being able to join in. So the work that you guys do is so important, and joy is not to be underestimated. So thank you so much for doing what you do, and thank you for talking to me about it today.
And no worries.
People at home can obviously donate or fundraise at any time of the year. They don't just have to do it during Game Blast in February or one special day in October, but definitely they should look out for those dates, because one special day is so great, especially because you normally have a humble bundle, so you can get a load of games for an incredible bargain.
Yeah, the humble bundles are amazing. So yeah, definitely look out for that.
Yeah, and thank you so much for talking to me, Becky. I know we're both a bit knackered, so I appreciate you sort of waking up for me, because I know you're at the office. You're awake this morning, but I imagine you're in your gym jams right now.
I'm half awake. I mean,
yes.
they're kind of used to it here. I'm half. I'm out of the office a lot at different events, so it's quite rare that I'm in, and when I am in, they're aware that I'm just going to be sipping a coffee and trying to get on.
Oh, before I let you go, what's the next event you'll be at with Special Effect?
So Special Effect will be at MCM Comic Con, which is at the end of May, but I won't be there. I'm taking some rare holiday, I think they call it.
Yeah, what's that?
Mine and Pat's 6th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Which is insane. Thank you. So yeah, you can find the team at MCM Comic Con, and most of those people will be volunteers. We have an incredible volunteer crew who I just have to do a quick shout out to, because they are we could not do these events without the volunteer crew. It will literally be one member of staff and the rest of people will be volunteers. But if you want to catch me, I will be at Twitch London at the beginning of July.
Awesome. Thank you so much for talking to me, Becky. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you to Becky for talking to me. And you can find out more about Special Effect at specialeffect.org.uk. If you're a Twitch streamer, please do consider doing a Twitch stream on their behalf to fundraise, or even just to raise awareness. That's the key thing. There are people out there who could actually benefit from Special Effects help, but maybe don't know that Special Effects exist. And so therefore, any help in raising awareness of the charity, or even raising funds, if you're able to, would be fantastic. And of course, there's loads of events you can take part in. You can find out more on the website. And Becky herself is actually going to be streaming more regularly in future, so if you want to go and hang out with her, she's so lovely, warm and friendly. You'll just have a lovely time. She will be streaming on Tuesdays, and she's going to be streaming from probably around 8 p.m. each week, and her Twitch account is twitch.tv/Becky Frost, but instead of an O, there is the number 0 for the O, so it's Becky FR0ST. That's how you'll find her on Twitch. Please do go hang out with her. Tell her I sent you. Next up, I am off to DreamHack Tours in France. That's going to be from Friday of this week. So I'm just trying to do the numbers in my head right now. I'm recording this on the 14th. It comes out on the 15th. So 17th to 19th of May, I'll be hosting DreamHack Tours on the desk. That's a Counter-Strike event. And then the following week, I'm going to be heading off to DreamHack Dallas. And I've heard such good things about this event, and the team lineup is absolute fire. So I will be there, and then I can't tell you what I've got next. I'm not allowed. But I've got another project, and then I'm going to have a couple of weeks off, which is going to be really weird. So at the moment, I'm kind of like, oh, what do I do after June? I'm hoping maybe someone will book me for something. We'll see. Maybe all the hosting will stop, which I'd be very sad about, but at least I gave it my best shot. I don't know, but hey, if the hosting stops, suddenly I get to do more podcasts. So that's the bright side. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for listening. You can keep up with my travels, what I'm up to, at twitter.com/getfrank, Instagram at getfrankgames, and when I am home, I'm going to be Twitch streaming, so twitch.tv/Frankie. Hopefully I'll see you in the chat. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, and hopefully you've enjoyed this episode and you'll enjoy the next one. Fingers crossed I managed to get it out within the next month. We'll see. Until next time, guys. Bye.